Let's get into Friday feedback for the week. If you have something to say that you'd like to have read on the show, have me respond to it. You can email info@davidpakman.com. Sometimes we'll also highlight and react to a Reddit post or a Twitter reply, a YouTube comment. But info@davidpakman.com is officially the place to submit feedback. We start with a comment from YouTube from Mr. Benchpress, who says, "Get over it, Democrats. He's winning. You're losing." And to every single one of these people, I say, what do you know that nobody else does? What do you know about an election that is likely to come down to under 500,000 votes in fewer than 5 states that you can be so sure that Joe Biden is going to lose? Now, Joe Biden may lose, and this is going to be the classic case of resulting. Millions of people have predictions about November's election, and some of them are going to be right because it's only 2 possible outcomes. It's sort of like when people say, "Oh, I'm pregnant." "Oh, really? I just have a feeling it's a boy. I have a feeling it's a girl." There's only 2 options here. And those who end up being right think that it was through some kind of insight or feeling or whatever the case may be. It's 50-50. And this will likely be very close. And it will come down to the margins. Who chooses to show up in November? What last minute thing happens that encourages or dissuades just small numbers of voters? So to the confident, get over it, Democrats, he's winning, you're losing. If you're so confident that Biden is winning and he's winning by a lot, put your money where your mouth is by staying home and arguing that it's just not even going to be close. They don't need your vote. Trump doesn't need your vote. I don't have that level of confidence. Either one of these candidates could win. And so you better be damn sure that I am going to be voting. Inagada Davida on Reddit says, today, Pakman referred to himself as a minority. I get that he's Hispanic and Jewish. However, these are ethnicities. Jewish people are considered an ethno-religious group. With all respect to David, he's a white guy, hardly a minority. Just my 2 cents. This is unfortunately a very simplistic and kind of pedestrian view of a lot of these issues. So first of all, when you say these are ethnicities, right, yeah, they are minority ethnicities. Therefore, I'm a minority. Denying Jews minority status or claiming that they are actually different, both are used by different flavors of anti-Semites historically to go after Jews. The Nazis would say, no, the Jews are different. A drop of Jewish blood makes you Jewish, and they aren't white, and it's its own race, and blah, 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 blah. And that was the basis for discrimination, and more than discrimination, the attempt to exterminate Jews. On the other hand, we have those who say, we don't need to worry about religious discrimination against Jews. We don't need to worry about non-religious discrimination against Jews. Remember, most discrimination against Jews in the United States is not religious. It's not, oh, you're bad because of what the Bible says. It's you're bad because of insert generic anti-Semitic trope here. And so now denying minority status to Jews is used to say, we don't need to worry about discrimination against Jews. You're all just white people. Now, from an ethno-religious perspective, we know that Jews aren't white because there is specific genetic screening that is done for would-be Jewish parents and Jewish mothers because of certain conditions that affect Jews differently than so-called white people. Now, I would love white to be defined further, right? Because there was a period where Italians weren't white, now they are. And there was a period where Irish weren't white, and now they are. Okay, so what this person at the end of the day means is that Jews are white passing, to which I say, yes, some Jews are white passing, and close to half are not, and probably would be on visual inspection, for lack of a better term, assumed to be Arab. So I'm kind of sick of this topic. And the people writing in saying, David, you're just a white guy. Tell me what you're really trying to communicate to me when you say that. And I think what most people mean is you are white passing because you learned to speak English without an accent and you have a certain physical appearance. Okay, that's a more serious conversation we can have. Detroit Zero on the subreddit says, why is no one talking about Trump's sundowning? The man is clearly struggling to speak. He's slurring. He can't pronounce some words properly. This would not be concerning if he doesn't obviously try to cover it up right after his mistake. He tries really hard to pretend he just didn't say that and has a slightly concerned look on his face right after he realizes what he said. Yeah, that's exactly what he does. He also does a physical thing. It's been happening more and more recently. Are we really going to give the keys to the presidency to someone who's clearly showing concerning symptoms? It's only going to get worse. Yeah, well, this is exactly what doctors Harry Siegel and John Gartner has said. Trump seems to do better early in the day. Maybe that's why he had a 6 a.m. rally last week. I don't know. It seems to get worse later in the day. In general, month to month, it seems to be getting worse. I don't know where he's going to be come July or come September or come November. I don't know. It's hard to imagine that he's going to be doing better than he's doing right now. Crummy Nubs wrote on the subreddit. By the way, you can find our subreddit at davidpakman.com/Reddit. I should actually make sure that that works. Some of the redirects collapsed when the website went live. It does work. Beautiful. Okay. A keen response to people holding their nose at voting for Biden. I won't vote for Biden. All right. Well, since you want your voice to be heard and choosing president is just one of dozens of choices you'll be making in November, which local candidates and initiatives are you supporting? This will help open a dialogue about what can be done at the local level. Also stops the genocide joers in their tracks. Yeah, listen, I mean, even if you plan to abstain voting for president, I hope that you're going to go out and vote for members of Congress, senators, if any are up for re-election in your state, local office. There are mayors and state senators and state reps. This is a good point. And I don't know that it'll get anyone who's determined not to vote Biden. But I hope when you say you might not vote, you're only talking about Biden, right? You're still going to go out and do your civic duty when it comes to down ballot races. I hope I'm not misinterpreting that. Larry Brown wrote on YouTube, David, you are delusional. Like the media hates Trump, he's right. He needs an unbiased, honest commentary. If he debates, one debate he wouldn't want to have would be on your show. I don't know what Larry Brown is talking about. If you're saying Trump wouldn't appear on this show, yeah, I mean, you're almost certainly right. He's welcome anytime. I don't know what Larry is saying. I'm delusional. He needs I think, maybe Larry is saying that for Trump to debate, he needs an unbiased moderator. Is that what he's saying? Man, I don't know what these people are talking about. And I just don't know. And I don't know if it's a sign of the educational system that the grammar is so bad. I just don't know. Sunshine wrote on the subreddit, Sleepy Trump. Anyone else think Trump's sleepiness in court may not just be from old age and nightly Truth Social rage fests, but actually a deliberate sedation to keep him from having a full-blown tantrum? I mean, don't get me wrong. The Root is old AF, out of shape, operating off a steady diet of McDonald's and BS. So it's very possible he requires at least one daily nap to function, but I don't know. For that to happen during the trial at all, and especially in the first couple days, definitely seems like more than just old age stress and a busy schedule. I really think they might be purposely sedating him to avoid him having a meltdown. Yeah, I mentioned this last week. I don't deny for a second that Trump's lawyers would have an interest in Trump being sedated so he doesn't lash out. The thing is, he's been lashing out. He'll fall asleep and then he'll wake up and he'll gesticulate and lash out at a potential juror, and then he'll go back to sleep. Then he comes out of court and he's all fired up. I think it would be very difficult to be feeding Trump uppers and downers so that they take effect at the exact moment that they want, especially without it being noticed in court. So I struggle to believe that that's what's going on. It's occurred to me. It's occurred to others. Julius says, polls are never accurate, but Pac-Man loves to paddle and use it to fuel people. It's called paddling in hate. To which Brenda replied, perhaps you mean pedal and pedaling. A paddle is used to propel a boat. And of course, Brenda's completely correct. Listen, polls are never accurate. I don't know that that's the case. You never want to look at just one poll. For example, there's a recent CNN poll that says Trump is winning by 9. I struggle to believe it. Not because I don't want it to be true, but because no other poll says that. That poll says 23% of people are going to vote third party. No other poll says that. So last election, when it came to the popular vote, the polls were quite accurate. It's just that to be accurate nationally, Trump lost the popular vote by like 7, doesn't address that it came down to about 112,000 votes in 3 states. That's such a small margin that it's hard for polling to get that exactly right. On the topic of Trump sleeping, Maita says, could be that Mr. Trump just checks out because he just wants the bad dream to go away. Doesn't want to listen or be there at all. He seems unable to accept what is happening. So when he is awake, this is his nightmare, but asleep he can avoid it. A sign of a mental disorder. To which Linda replied, or he's on the internet all night ranting. Yeah, it's funny. If Trump is just trying to avoid reality by sleeping through trial, you'd think he'd also be trying to stay off of Truth Central and stay off the internet. I don't know. But certainly an interesting possibility. All right. And lastly, here is Melinda on the topic of the term Hispanic and says, Hispanic is confusing. I used to think it was another word for Latino until my Dominican neighbor pulled me aside one day to say he was offended I was categorizing him as Hispanic because to him that meant Mexican, and he was offended being called a Mexican. Since that day, I usually say Spanish speaking to try not to offend anyone. However, recently I think I heard Hispanic does not mean Mexican. No, so listen. Spanish, we've talked about this a few times. Spanish speaking just means you speak Spanish. And so that definitely doesn't mean Hispanic or Latino. There is debate as to whether Hispanic and Latino mean the same thing or not. One interpretation is Latino refers to Central and South America only, whereas Hispanic also includes the European country of Spain. There are those who say Hispanic definitely doesn't only mean Mexican. That I've never heard before. But there are others who say Hispanic and Latino do have distinct definitions. Also, there is Latin American, which arguably includes all of the countries of Central and South America, even the ones that don't speak Spanish. There's debate about that. Certainly, Brazilians are not considered Hispanic anywhere I've seen, and they don't speak Spanish in Brazil. There is some debate over this, but Hispanic meaning Mexican is definitely not one that I have ever heard before. We have a great bonus show for you today. I would love it if you signed up at joinpacman.com. I do want to remind you, we believe about 0.5% of our audience supports us directly through forms of support that include membership. We are trying to get from 0.5% to 1%. If we can get to 1% financial support, we are completely insulated indefinitely from any financial calamities such as those we've experienced. So the membership support is a really big deal. Consider signing up at joinpacman.com. You'll get instant access to the bonus show, which, by the way, if you're a member, you can listen to or watch right now.